All right, welcome back, everyone. It is my first one of 2026 with Brandon Potts, and it's not B2R Invest anymore. It is Building Wealth Flows. So, same channel, but new name. But what's up, Brandon? How's it going?
Yeah, I thought I needed to change it. I had noticed a couple of times that it's too long and it just people didn't understand it as much with B2R, what that was. I know our group would understand what I'm talking about, build to rent, but I'm thinking about the general audience and what I'm teaching is not just build to rent on my channel. So I teach a lot on other, financial literacy too. So I thought, and I was working, I was using Grok. I don't use Chat GPT anymore. I use Grok, and I was trying different names, putting some what I talk about, and I put several different words together. And I think that building wealth flow was my one that it just connected. That I put a few words together, and I think that one long term. That the way I say it is that'll preach, and it's a good one. I think I'm going to go with that.
Well, it looks like you got a thumbs up from Trisha, and it looks like she has a name for her channel soon. That flipping nurse, but yeah,
Thanks,
definitely.
Tricia. I appreciate the encouragement.
But yeah, we skipped 1 week. Brandon was had some things he was taking care of, but before we
Oh,
maybe
I was
dig,
just with family. I am taking care of my
you
family.
kind of make it sound like you were important,
Oh,
man.
yeah. Doing some high level, high finance stuff. Spending money in Branson, Missouri.
Well, but let's catch up on things before we dig into the topic this week, which was kind of related to, I don't know, I said 6, 7, 5, 7, but you can dig into it after. But
Yeah,
you
something
also had a
like that.
presentation, right, on Saturday. What was that all about?
Yeah, so I was speaking to a West Dallas Fort Worth REI group. And really, what it was giving me a trial run of the speech in February and did some extra. So I spoke for 2 hours teaching about build to rent and just presenting that and fielding a lot of questions. It was about, oh, 50, 60 people there. So it was a really good conversation with everyone and a lot of questions from everybody and just talking about my numbers. And I think what they appreciated, just like most of our group knows, I do share the details, and I was sharing real hard numbers on different projects and talking about the building project, which I'm here again on a Tuesday. Today is framing day, so I was here early working with the framers. We found a couple of things we needed to change, and you can make those changes the first day, no cost. So we saw some windows that were directly facing another house's windows in the master bedroom, and so we switched those, took those windows out and moved them to another wall so that they're going into the backyard. And this is the moment you're making changes. We're taking a small wall out because the measurements it didn't flow right for the vanity in the master bathroom. So these are the framing day is really a big day where you can fix things or make some changes because they just, even though you have a perfect floor plan, what you think, but once it starts getting framing up, there might be a couple of adjustments that need to be made. And this was because of one specific house beside it. The windows, you don't want your windows right across from each other on a house. And those are the moments you can make those changes quick.
And looks like Brady Morgan also says new channel name is Solid Brand and he likes it. And for those of you, like I said, Brady has been tuning in quite a bit recently. So I
He
did
has.
put, he does have a channel also people may not know about. So his channel is also in the chat. He should be coming out with a book also in 2026. So give him a follow also. Hey, I see Felix Sharp tuning in from your channel, and it says, "Hey, gentlemen, got offer out on deal number 2." So yeah, fingers crossed. So very cool. But yeah, let's dig into the topic. And you sent me, you want to talk about 557. And I really wasn't sure what that was all about. So maybe either refresh my memory or
It is what I live out. It's kind of a combination of what I've been teaching over this last year and a half into a simple, I don't know, just something catchy. And so the 557, so everybody bear with me. I'm going to create a video on my channel too, specifically with my favorite whiteboard behind me and kind of walk it through. But the 557 plan, the first five speaks to what I've spoken about before, and that is holding your money accountable. So let me build this thought out, is that we have four different conditions of money, and I've spoken on this before, where you've got dead money, and that's money that you're barely keeping up with inflation. That's 0 to 4%. Then you have safe money, which is 5 to 9%. Then you have healthy money, which is 10 to 13%. But where we want to live is where the wealthy are, and it's how we get to becoming financially independent, is 14% and higher. And so where I got this is money doubling. So you're taking the rule of 72, and so you're taking 14, you're dividing 14 into 72, and that gives you the number of years it takes to double your money. And so the minimum you should be looking for is doubling your money every 5 years. The stock market, if we look at the stock market from 2000 to 2024 in the S&P 500, you'd be shocked. And the stock market people won't talk about this much, but it only earned 7.3%. That's the S&P 500 for those 25 years from 2000 to the end of 2024 averaged 7.3% real return. Well, that's your money doubling every 10 years. That is half of what you should be living in on the wealthy condition of money. So that first number is 5, is talking about the number of years, the minimum number of years you should be investing in something that your money should double, because it's the number of times your money doubles gets you to financial freedom. And including in that is, of course, the cash flow. And the best illustration of this, it's that hockey stick effect. It grows slowly, then suddenly. It's because the magic happens over multiple doubles. If you take the example of a penny doubled every day for 30 days, even at 25 doubles, it's only at 300 and I think it's $335,000. But it's those last 5 doublings to the 30th double gets to $10 million. It's very slow. So the way you get to true wealth, having wealth, is your money doubling faster. And so the minimum is 2 times what the S&P 500's been doing. From 1980 to 2000, I'm talking about a lot of my stock brokerage background. From 1980 to 2000, this is the old accumulation method. The millionaire next door, it was working then from 1980 to 2000. Guess what the S&P did? 14.5%. Now, in the new age, the new world order, if you want to call it that, the new condition of life, the S&P only doubled half of that, 7.3%. We have to live in the wealthy column, the wealthy condition of money. That's how we get ahead, and how we get to financial freedom is assets that appreciate, and our total return, including cash flow, is above 14%. So that's the first one. What's your thoughts, Mark?
Yeah, I think it's the return. I mean, I think I was going to bring this up after, but we were talking about it the other day about real estate being dead. And I think this kind of relates to what you're talking about, the returns. But I think a lot of people, so I'll try to find it. There was an X post talking about why real estate is, people don't want to admit it. The boomer generation, the older generation, it is an aging investment strategy. And they say they admit there's tax benefits, but when you compare it to other things, other asset classes, the returns just don't stack up. And if you look at maybe the direction investing is going in with AI, all these type of things, that was what this person's post was about, right? Talking more about stocks, the stock market, Bitcoin, crypto. And I was saying that on I think it was on Sunday on the live stream where I kind of do feel a lot of people do see real estate as being dead from the looking at it from the returns, right?
I think they're not seeing all the returns because if you look at most charts, when you talk to people in the stock market world, the only thing they talk about is the appreciation of the asset. And this goes into the second principle, just like you're setting me up for this, Mark, because there's 5 ways you make money in real estate. And they only look at one, they look at the appreciation. And these are all independent. So you've got cash flow number one, because you should only buy that real estate that cash flows. Then you have appreciation. Well, that's what they're talking about. They always measure it against appreciation, but you make money multiple ways. Then you have natural, well, what I say, cash flow, appreciation, principal pay down, because you only buy real estate. Smart money buys real estate with healthy leverage. So then the tenant's paying down, and that's a return on your money because let's just say you're financing 25%. You're taking your $1 and you're making it do the work of $4. They don't include that because it blows their whole theory apart. They're using it with no leverage because they can't do, most people, 98% of the people don't use leverage in the stock market. So it has to be their money. Their return is not the same as real estate. And it work in each of these pillars. If they're holding up your financial house, they work independently. And I'll give an example today. So in the last 2 years, my properties have not appreciated. And I would say in the last year, they've gone down. The numbers show about 2.5%. So my value of my properties went down 2.5%. But did that cause my cash flow to disappear? No, I was still making money with returns of 12 and 14% on cash flow, even though the appreciation was down today at 2.5, but over a 10-year period, I know it'll be up. Each of these pillars, when you take cash flow, appreciation, principal pay down, and not paying income tax on it, those are the four. But the magical one that accelerates it is forced appreciation, which you can do both on the resale side if you're buying under value and you create value in improving it, or the way I do it with the build model, I'm creating instant equity with forced appreciation. They don't include all that. It's that they're seeing it, they just see the appreciation, or maybe it's a little bit of cash flow that they're maybe looking at. They don't think it's sexy enough. But let me tell you, you and I both know the slow and steady, we win the race. And I always say, and you've seen me post that, real hard assets outperform paper and digital promises throughout history. It's hard assets that always win. And I'm banking on 2,000 years of history that prove it. I'll get off my soapbox there.
No, I think, but you also have to look at, so the people here, probably majority do believe in real estate.
They do.
Majority here will probably also admit the first 5 to 10 years suck and it's a lot more work. So I
And that's
I
going to
just
go into my number 7.
so I just think that for a lot of people, it's the it's that trade-off, right? You can, I mean, of course, trading options, it does take different amount of work, but just putting the money in the markets, or like someone does mention here, I mean, real estate isn't dead. Felix is saying real estate isn't dead. Assets just have cycles, just like gold and silver here recently, for example, right? But also
Right.
even just the ease of purchasing those assets, right? So I like for, I think real estate is just for a lot of people, they see a lot of the the negatives, the headaches, and they weigh it against like all the benefits that you're mentioning, and just saying, what is it worth these headaches? And I think that's where a lot of people are finding it difficult to see the true benefits of it.
And that may be so. I have the math that proves the benefits way outweigh the other issues. It's one of the very few things that we can all invest in that creates cash flow to pay the bills and also grows. There's three different forces going on in life that real estate addresses, and all the other ones don't do it quite as well. There's three forces happening in life. It's either headwinds or tailwinds. I know we're going through a lot of things, and you say, what are those three forces? Force number one is taxes. It's the highest expense of your entire life is taxes. If you include, for you, like in Hawaii, you have the income tax, which we in Texas don't have, but you've got self-employment tax and income tax with the federal government. It's the highest expense you will have. It's a headwind in a lot of other investments. The second headwind is debt. And that kind of goes with what we all understand as good debt and bad debt, and how debt works in investing in assets. And then the third headwind is inflation. And real estate, when inflation kills other investments like the stock market, it's slowly eroding your purchasing power. What it does in real estate is it increases your purchasing power and increases your wealth. You turn all those three headwinds into tailwind, and that's why you can get to financial freedom 10 years, when other assets you're having to work 30 and 40 years because of the doubling. And a lot of times, I mean, the math has proven it in life. Only 3% even get to $1 million in a retirement asset. And it that even that $1 million today, if you had it today, is that $1 million going to have the same purchasing power 40 years from now? We know it absolutely not. And real estate addresses all three of those wealth forces that are headwinds for most other investments, and they are tailwinds for real estate. And that's where people don't understand it. And I always tell them, are you going to take the red pill or the blue pill, Neo? Are you going to have your eyes open to what's going on? Or you want to live blissfully getting played by the system? Or are you going to play the system? There's there's another thing I talk about.
Let's see here. Yep, Josh Burdick says a good explanation, Brannon. So many ways RE is a powerful wealth creator. Brady says great explanation. By my count, real estate builds wealth in 6 ways. I think the one you didn't mention was forced appreciation.
I
When you
did.
total up everything, returns are far ahead of anything else. Yeah, so yeah, I think so. I think this is probably the
I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here. I do not understand that, but I'm speaking on Thursday morning at a networking group for about 40 people, and I'm going to be teaching on the three wealth forces and talking about real estate. But this group, I'm preaching to the choir. I'm just reinforcing what we all know and why we're doing it.
yeah. I think definitely. So like this is I think what the Yasik says. I think this is the big reason why I think I see more people go from real estate to other asset classes than the other way around. I don't know. That's just kind of what I see. A lot of people that probably were on my channel in the beginning because they're primarily real estate focused, and then now I see them kind of pivoting quite a bit. But
And this
Yasik,
is what I talked to you about. They have a high time preference. And I'm working on an article for school. I've been out on, Christmas and New Year's, but I've got an article. I posted a few articles called um, Deep Thoughts by Brannon Potts, but I think a lot of people have high time preference. And what I mean by that is they want instant gratification. They want it and they want it now. They're living the Veruca principle. They want it quick and they want it now. And they're always chasing. And what I watch with this group, These peoples are always chasing the next best thing, and they never seem, if you talk to those people, they never seem to accomplish it because they're moving from one investment to the other, constantly moving their money to something else because they want it now, and they're finding out they can't have it now. It can't happen. We know in real estate, like I said, it happens slowly, then suddenly it shows up. And they have this, there's people are being groomed, our kids are being groomed with high time preference. They're wanting things instantly. They went from their attention span, when we were 3 or 4 decades ago, it was 30 minutes to an hour, to now we're down to seconds. They want instant gratification. Toys were made with metal that lasted for decades. Now they're made with the thinnest plastic with planned obsolescence in it to break. That's low time preference. The people that succeed, the truly wealthy, have low time preference. They stay patient and they can wait for a longer period of time. And if you look at the people that truly are wealthy, they have low time preference versus these people always chasing the next best thing. They're wanting it and they're wanting it now. They're the high time preference people. Low time preference are the ones that are wealthy. They are patient and they are methodical, and it happens slowly and then suddenly. We see them after they've reached the pinnacle, but you talk to almost every one of them, it took time. And that goes to my 557. The seven is things happen, economies happen in typically 7-year economic cycles. And most investors don't stick it out. They have high time preference. They're moving their money all the time. And it takes at least, I know we talk about 10 years, and I believe in that. It is 10 years. But I've talked about the 7-year time cycles, at least staying in your investment for at least 7 years to get through a full investment cycle, a full economic cycle. And I think most people bail out of real estate for liquidity issues. That's what I've seen over and over again. Either they're too thinly high leveraged, and the numbers are too thin, and they have liquidity issues, and they're having to sell. I think that is a high percentage of people getting out of real estate are liquidity issues.
Um, I think on a bigger scale, yeah, a lot of
Yes,
people that got in.
that's what I'm talking about.
But I just see a lot of people even, you know, I mean, I know you're talking the slow game, the long game, but then that's why I see everyone trying to pivot, trying to find the new
The
shiny
newest
object
long
in
game,
real
yeah,
estate,
they're
in just real
constantly.
estate, right? Whether it's Airbnb, whether it's rent by the room, whether it's assisted living, so I even see people trying to figure out.
Oh, I see it within the real estate realm. They're constantly shifting models.
So Flavio is asking you though, Brannon, if you have 5 ways to make money on a property, will you do it if you sacrifice one way to make money and is cash flow?
So is he saying
Hmm.
it
I,
doesn't cash flow?
I think, for example, maybe would you do an interest only mortgage, trade off the principal pay down, but now you're cash flowing, right? So that would be maybe one example of you're
Maybe
taking away
maybe
one.
that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
No, that I would absolutely not. I want all those components of it. Ones I can't control of the appreciation year on year, but the math on 10 years, it always appreciates. So I can't control that one, but I want the principal pay down. That also provides additional security and protection of the asset. So I wouldn't compromise that. That goes to that discussion of the 50-year mortgage that I know I'm right on. Y'all,
Oh
hey,
man,
you have all the ability to be wrong all you want on the 50-year, but I know I'm right.
Jason Hartman, who was mentioned earlier by Hyder, who said, what did he say? Where did he say it? Real estate is the most historically proven asset class, would say differently about the 50-year mortgage, and he'll agree with me.
I know there's debate, but y'all
No,
have the
yeah.
ability. You have all the ability to be wrong all you want. I'll let you do that.
I'm going to heckle the shit out of you now at your presentation at the ORAD event.
I'm gonna have fun with that, but y'all know me. You can choose whatever you want, but the math proves what I'm talking about.
Jack Stewart is asking, do you two consider yourself wealthy? If yes, why? If no, what would it take in your mind to be wealthy? Oh, good question.
That's a good question. When you see, I had somebody say to me the other day, and I thought it was interesting. They called me a whale, and I just sat there and I thought, man, I am so not that. I'm a minnow. There's so much wealth out there that's beyond my comprehension. As far as compared to typical, I'm doing pretty well. I'll say that. Multiple millions in net worth right now, and that's better than average. But as far as what real true wealth out there, man, I'm a minnow compared to the whales.
I would probably fall in that same sentiment. However, I would say wealthy from, I have way more than enough. It's so from that standpoint, it's like, yeah, I'm wealthy, but wait, when you're stepping back and comparing it to, like you're saying, the whales or this, then yeah, you're nothing. But if you look back and compare it to probably the majority, I'm well off. I'm way ahead of majority of the people out there, I would say. Um, Oh, what about? Well, before I get into Jack's next question, I do. Gus is on Instagram, I see, and he was, I guess, chiming in about how Flavio's question about maybe would you trade principal pay down for an interest only payment to increase your cash flow? And Gus is saying, gotta pay down that principal with the rent money for sure. But and I don't know if you touched on or if you heard Dion also mention it too. So for example, what in the past, how many years you typically gain more through property appreciation, right, than principal pay down. So would you that's why would you trade off an interest only payment to get a property because it cash flows now? You're not going to get that principal pay
Yeah,
down, but you're
no,
going to have
I
that
would
chance
not,
for that
and that
appreciation, right?
yeah, that comes from my. I guess I'm fairly conservative. I would not because I have seen. Um, I mean, you take the people in the last couple of years that have negative equity in real estate. And I just wouldn't. It's a security issue. I want to securitize my future with all of those things for the long term. I don't want to have any risk. And that adds it might not be a high level of risk, but it adds a level of risk that I just don't want to do.
Very true. So Brady is saying, I think to your point of why he would not agree with the 50-year mortgage being better, but he's saying 15-year mortgage is far, oh, shoots, the chat just moved. 15-year mortgage is far better than 30 or even 50. You want to see the power of principal paydown compared to amortization schedules for them. And then, yeah, to like I was saying, but then you got to compare, right?
You got to
What do
compare
you,
cash flow too. So if you went to a 15-year, you're not going to have the cash flow. I do think when they created the 30-year mortgage, and this all was being in discussion with the government in the 30s and 40s, is when this all came about. I know those mathematicians figured they were looking at it. I guarantee they looked at a 50. They figured out the optimal, perfect spot on that 30-year was probably optimal to equate both for us as investors cash flow and principal paydown. The reason why I use math to prove it out. The present value of future cash flows doesn't mean just positive cash flow, it means negative cash flows. If you figure 3% inflation, because you're going to pay, let's just take an example of $1 million, say I think it was a $400,000 loan. You're going to pay about $1 million in interest, if I've got these numbers right, in the first 30 years. Or no, 500,000. Maybe it's 500,000. Yeah, that's what it was. 500,000 in interest in the first 30 years. Those second 20 years, you're paying an additional 500,000 in interest because of the 50-year mortgage. And if you use present value, you are paying more for the property. Hey, if you want to pay more for your property on a 50-year mortgage, more power to you, but I don't, because that's what the real math is. And that's my background. This is what I live on. If it were better, I'd be preaching 50 years if it was better, but it's not. And part of the principle is you're going to pay the same 500 extra $1,000 in interest. Yes, it's your renter paying it, but it is coming from you eventually. It is coming from you. You're paying $500,000 in interest on those second 20 years, not spread out over an additional 30 years.
So I think we touched on this also before. So Trisha is saying the thing about a 15-year mortgage is you are locked into that payment. If you are new and have a huge expense hit, you are financially strapped. I would rather do a 30-year with a wiggle room in my reserves. And if you choose, like Josh is saying, if you choose, you can always still pay down the 30 earlier if you have.
Yeah, that's a good option. You're right. That is exactly right.
Anything more? Yeah. Let's get back to the 557 a little bit.
So
If
let me summarize where we're at. So first five is about the number of doublings of your return on your investment in 5 years versus 10 years, as the S&P 500 has been historically lately. The other five is the 5 ways you make money. And then the 7 is to stick with it and stick through at least a 7-year economic cycle, staying long term, at least 7 years. We always talk about in this group 10 years, but economic cycles typically go in 7-year cycles, and staying with it. So that's my 557 investment plan. Now I mean, my properties, these new constructions, I'm planning to keep, and I'm building them for till I'm gone. So I'm intending to keep them for 30 years. There might be one I sell for some reason to do a 1031 exchange, but the intent is to keep them for decades. But I'm saying you should keep them, at least keep investments for at least an economic cycle of 7 years.
Cody Evers is saying, I moved from a 30-year to a 40-year loan to save $400 a month on the payment at my recent seller financing deal. I keep going back and forth if that was a good idea. Better cash flow now, but less pay down. Yeah, I mean, it's just to me, it's just whatever you're comfortable with. It's there's no, I would say there's no. I mean, Brandon may feel differently, but I wouldn't say there's a wrong or right way to do it. Because, like for example, my Monday guest Cody Davis prefers a lot of interest only things to throw more cash at things currently, right? So I wouldn't say there's a right or wrong. It definitely has to be what you're comfortable with. And for some people, it is the principal pay down is more guaranteed than appreciation, right? So some people's view is they want the interest only because they're figuring the appreciation is going to be more than a principal pay down benefit, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
there's
think the principal pay down, you can control. The appreciation, we really don't have control over.
definitely. So that's why I said it's really your comfort level, but I can see a blend in your portfolio, right? I mean, it doesn't mean everything has to be interest only, right? It could be some properties that you're
Right.
generating more cash flow on, but yeah, it's just definitely comes down to comfort level, and you got to
And
see
that's the
what you're
beauty
right.
of real estate too, is there's so many ways at it. We're just all trying to discuss safe ways and making sure it's successful, whatever way that is.
Wait, I'm not sure. Brady is saying, Brandon, let's have a friendly showdown. 15-year versus 50-year. Bet you I get better returns over a 20-year or a 30-year period.
Huh, interesting. Maybe. Yeah, maybe we can do that.
Yep. Like Hyder said, investing is incredibly personal. Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, oh yeah. So okay, would you base it on? I think it comes down to what stage the investor is in their needs also. Yep.
I think that's a great valid point. There's different stages, and I would say like Cody, being in his 20s, his risk tolerance because he has a longer runway, he can do some things that for me at 50, about I just turned 54, I don't have that runway, so I'm going to do things a little differently than I probably would have done in my 20s. And it just depends on the situation.
Yeah, Brady says principal paydown is one of the most overlooked benefits of real estate. Seems to always be an afterthought for most investors. Yep. So what are we going to see more of the 557 brought up at the ORAD event as part of your presentation?
No, probably won't bring that up there. I don't have enough time. My presentation is going to be 30 minutes, so I really just are going to be am going to be talking about investing in the build to rent model. That's about what all I can get into is just going through some of the financials and the details of the build to rent model and what I've done over the last 4.5 years. I realize I've only been in this process. I'm 4.5 years in, and July will be the fifth year, the start of the fifth year. So I'm still pretty fresh in it, but I've been able to produce equity of net worth of more than $1 million and cash flow of close to 50,000 in 4.5 years. So I'm still fairly new in it. I mean, I've got two. I'm looking at the framing right now. I've got two going up right now. So that'll only be door number 13 and 14.
So I think back to Flavio's question because I think you touch on it all the time, and I think people, and maybe you correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that your properties cash flow that much off the bat, right? You're looking for a certain amount, but it's more the forced appreciation, almost the no money into the deal that is building your wealth, right?
Well, let me ask, because somebody asked this specific question yesterday. If average cash flow is 3 to 4% in our area, I'm making between 12 and 14% cash flow day one, cash on cash return. Is that pretty good on brand new? This is brand new construction. 12 to 14% cash on cash return of my actual cash investment, all in with closing costs and everything into the properties. That's pretty good around here.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying the actual number is small, but the percentage return is great because of, like you're saying, it's very limited money in
Oh
because
yeah,
you
yeah.
have
You're
you
right.
have
You're
your
right.
numbers like down to a T. You have it,
I follow you. I follow
yeah.
you. Yeah. So I'm only putting in 30,000, and it is, I had a property, you could call it almost, these people that are unlimited returns. Well, if you put nothing in it and made $1, that's unlimited returns. But is that a great return for you, really? I'm putting in 30,000 and making, 4 grand a year, 5 grand a year in cash flow on 30,000. So I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm putting smaller dollars in on each single family house. Now my multifamilies, it'll end up being more. It'll be the next multifamily construction. It's going to be between 70 and 80,000 that I'll have of actual cash in it. But these single family houses, it's smaller dollars.
Luke Howard from your channel looks like they're saying, as a 22-year-old, I can't even remember being 22, but as a 22-year-old, how can I prepare for a portfolio of building to rent properties? Thank you all.
I think first is you probably need to get a builder to help you build the first one. You're gonna have to. There's several steps. You're saving up that money because the bank's going to. The reason I've been able to do some of these is because I have experience building, and so the first time you're doing it, you're probably going to have to save up a little bit more, and they're going to expect some money down. Say you were going to live in it. Let's just say it's a duplex. Let's just use that example. So you're going to live in one side or in one room, and you're renting out rooms on your side and renting the other side. They're probably going to expect 25% down on the construction, but then you can refi it into the permanent. If you're living there at 3.5% down, you'll get that money back. So that's probably what's going to logically happen because of just the time frame and experience. You're going to have some money into it in the construction piece with a builder, but then you can probably get that money back on the refi once it's completed and only have 3.5% down.
Brady is saying, I wish I started this when I was 22. I'd be retired already.
Me too.
Um, Gus, who's watching from Instagram, is asking, for this rent to build model, year one, what was cash and building value? And year five of that same building, what would be cash and value of the building?
The only one I can give an example of the very first one because that's been 4.5 years in. So we completed that one in what was it, 21? Sorry, I need to get something to drink here.
Too many speaking events.
I know it's been so that one cash flowed at around $1,000, $900 to $1,000 back then when we first got started. That back then the appraisal came in. I built it for 447. The appraisal came in. I'm thinking back around 575 when I finished that one. Today we're running cash flow on it of around 1,300 a month. It got up to 1,500, but rents have come down a little bit, so we're back down closer to 1,300. But the recent appraisal on it came in at 715,000. That's the only one that's I've had for now 4.5 years. These single families that I'm building right now, I've got 30,000 in it. I'm building them. The recent builds from this last summer, I built them at 207,000. They appraised at 262,000 with 30,000 in, and I'm cash flowing around $350 a month.
Charles, well, before I bring up Charles's question, I do want to say thank you to Charles and Carrie. I don't know what this is supposed to mean, but they sent me this for Christmas. I guess her students made this. If you can see these.
Yeah.
So I hope her students got. She better have given them A plus.
Sketchy Hawaiian. That's
Yeah,
great.
I don't know what she's trying to imply or what she's telling these kids
Oh,
about
that's
me,
funny.
but Charles is asking, Brannon, are you planning an accelerated pay down of your debt?
Um, at this moment, not. I've thought about it. I know even I think Coach Carson recently spoke about it. Maybe down the road, but while I'm still in growth mode, I need that cash to finish out my number of units of 22. If I'm completed with the 22, I might look at that or might look at focusing on one to get. If I'm going to keep all 22, I would like to have a couple, 2 to 3 completely paid off. That, and then because I'm looking globally at my entire portfolio, securing it even that much more and creating cash flow So at this moment, not right now, because I'm still in growth mode of deploying that capital into new projects. But once I'm completed, I might consider that. If I'm not retired, I might consider that. It is actually, Charles, it is on my mind. I'm just not there yet, but it's something I'm gonna look at in the next few years.
Trisha is at saying, is it hard to put duplexes on infill lots around single family homes? What does the zoning issues look like?
Yeah, if you've got single families around it, most cities won't allow it. It's called, and if they did in the past, it's called spot zoning. The cities are getting away from that, where they're doing these master plans. The method, the thought on it is you want single families in a certain area. The transition then is into small multifamilies, is the next zoning besides single family, and then it's higher density. Then it's down the road. It's industrial. So you don't put all those beside each other. It's a transition, and then commercial's another zoning. Usually with multifamily and duplexes in most areas are considered multifamily. It has an area where it's being zoned, and a lot of cities have master plans. If you can look at it on their websites or talk to the city, they have a 30 and 50-year master plan. Most of them do, and you can see where they're zoning, where they want to eventually have multifamily. And if you flow and find properties in that area where their master plan is, they're going to be more open to allowing you to be zoned multifamily. And I had this example. I had some property well, where this fourplex and triplex. I bought that land. It had been zoned single family, but there was multifamily all around it. So it was a very easy thing to work with the city to get it rezoned to multifamily, which is what was all around it. Now, if that would have been all single family around it, they would not have zoned it multifamily.
Luke Howard, tuning in from your channel, is asking, I have heard Brannon mention this before, but I would appreciate a refresher on choosing, designing a floor plan for a rental. Now, before you answer, do you keep kind of the same specs so that it's easy for permitting purposes and whatnot on all your builds?
So on the right now on the single families, I have a floor plan that I designed a couple of years ago, and I'm just staying with it. I might make a tweak or two. It's maybe changing, so let's just say 5%. It's small changes now. I'm using the same floor plan over and over because it's very efficient. There's only one hallway. It's a split bedroom design with the major living areas in the center, with the living room, dining room and kitchen, and then the masters on one side and the other bedrooms and bathrooms on the other. These are floor plans of 1,400 square feet. On the multifamily, the very first one, and I'm going to talk about this at ORAD event. I've got slides at the end where I have what mistakes I made and what I learned from every build. So you're learning even today. I mean, I'm making an adjustment on the framing today, this morning, with the framers right here. I'm making little tweaks because of where the windows are. But my multifamily, I've got a townhouse style now that I've designed, and I'm going to tweak it on the next time I build the next multifamily, which I've got a lot that in the next 2 years I'll be building. I'm still having to tweak it because that was the first time I built that townhouse style. I draw them up myself on graph paper. That's just what I've done all my life. I've drawn every build that we've ever done. I was the one that gave the builder the floor plan because I look at hallway space. I know spacing that I've learned over the years. My parents built all of our houses. I would look at back then they called them blueprints, but I would look at them, and you learn spacing, and you want to design a floor plan with minimal as possible hallways that you can do. because hallways, in a sense, are useless space. And if you can eliminate a lot of those hallways, it makes the floor plan feel and function bigger.
Do you know who Luke Howard is? Do you know who this individual is?
I
Or
am not certain. No.
well, how can Luke Howard connect with you if they want to get a hold of you?
Go to my YouTube channel and then look in the details there. They can message me, and then we can have conversation on it.
All right. So Luke, if you're still there, if you want more information, go reach out to Brannon, and he'll be in Vegas speaking in February. So if you're in that area, you can also check that out. But Charles is saying, I think talking about the debt pay down, it's an old guy thing. I'm with you.
Everybody's got a different plan on financing. I'm teaching what I feel is a good principle, and my perspective today is a lot different than when I'm in my 20s. I've learned a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of people lose properties, and so I am in it. My runway is short, and I've got to get it right now for me and our family. And so I'm pretty conservative, and y'all know that. But
Josh Burdick is asking, are you able to build all year, or do you have a building season?
yeah, that's a good question, Josh. We're here in Texas, so we're able to build year round. I mean, there's rainy seasons. We haven't had rain here. It's been pretty dry for the last couple of months, but usually February we'll get into some rain, so we'll be dried in by February. It just slows it down a little bit. But here in Texas, it doesn't rain for long periods of time. It's just spotty rain, a day here, a day there. It doesn't rain for a week. We don't have that, so we're able to build year round.
I just want to remind everyone, Brannon is also streaming live now, so you can always go jump over there and subscribe if you haven't yet. Hit the like button on his live stream
He
also.
doesn't want to say that. He's saying that begrudgingly because now I'm ahead of him on subscribers.
He is, man. I don't know. It must be all those boomers following him. I don't know
That's
what
it.
it is.
That's it.
But also Brady Morgan's channel is here, and he's been a regular
Yeah, Brady's
follower
got a
recently.
channel, so he and
Yeah,
I are going to have to connect.
yeah. Go check him out. He's like I said, he's gonna have a book coming out soon. Like Brandon is supposed to, but I don't know. Brandon.
Well, let me talk about something. There is a new book out, and I mean legit. There is a new book out. I don't have it with me. I just purchased it 2 weeks ago. I emailed the author and I said, buddy, it's like you took my notes. And I mean that. I mean legit. I showed my wife, I said, I've got 8 pages of notes here, and this guy just published what I was writing about. It is called How to Retire in 10 Years or Less. You got to look it up. Ryan Lee, How to Retire in 10 Years or Less. It is, and I mean this legit, in 20 years, the best book I've read in 20 years on finance.
Ah, all right.
And I mean it, and y'all know I read dozens a year. It is Rich Dad Poor Dad, theory and full application all in one book. Just was printed, and it is phenomenal.
All right, Brady, you hear that? You might have to see what that book is all
How
about
to
also.
Retire in 10 Years or Less. It's a green book. He does reference, I guess he knows the Kiyosaki group, and he knows Ken McElroy. He was on Ken McElroy's channel.
Hmm.
This is how I found it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. His book was in the background. They never referenced the book, but I saw the image of the book in the background and Googled it. It just came out. You're going to
Uh,
thank me for telling you about this book.
all right, wait, stop. Let me get my Amazon link going for it, and then we will. Um, I don't know if you've had an experience in Houston. Where did the thing go? Shoot, I saw Brady comments on something about zoning. Oh, he says want to see odd zoning, go to Houston.
We used to have it too, and it's called spot zoning. And these cities are having to unwind all the mistakes they made decades ago.
Brady sounds like he's creating the same message that you are. It says when choosing a floor plan for rentals, focus on simplicity,
Yes.
simple foundation, and simple roof design are some of the biggest cost savers. Also, try to put all plumbing in one part of the home if you can.
If you can, it is a challenge, but yeah, you're trying to be efficient in those floor plans and finding the right balance of design and efficiency on costs. You're balancing all of that in one. And like these single families, they are very efficient designs. And even on the multifamilies I've done, I'm getting better at them. I'm trying to be very efficient designs.
Oh shoot! There. Now that you bring that up, there was. I saw Charles had a question. Where did it go? Oh, would building to house hack a duplex be easier to start than a build to rent? Maybe is that
I
his
think it
question?
would. I think that would be a good start for somebody that wants to start doing them for investments. You're going to learn. You're in a sense you're learning on something you're about to live in. So if you made a few little errors, and you're going to, I mean that's just life. You're learning from it. You know that would be a good start, and that's what I was recommending to. Well, I think it was Luke. Is that would be a way to start, or if you build your own first house for yourself. I mean that's how I got my experiences. I was building my houses for myself, and I was learning a lot through that process, but I was learning on myself. Doing a multifamily, I wished I would have. I mean, my wife and I actually bought a duplex, and that's where our first house was. We lived in one side and rented out the other. The mistake I made is I sold it because we were young and we needed the money to build our next house. And now I drive by it periodically. I try to avoid it because it just makes me sick. I bought it. This was in 2002. 2002. I bought a duplex, 2 bedroom, 2 bath duplex, $95,000, and it
Dang,
now would sell for 300. They're getting almost 14, 1,500 in rent. Back then, we were getting 700, if I remember right. And I look at it now, I'm like, man, I wish I would have been able to keep it. But, we were young in our 20s, and that was the time we, unfortunately, y'all know we need that money early on. We're trying to get it worked out.
Harrison is asking, Brannon, what do you think of the horror new home build videos that folks post from DR Horton or Lennar? Do you think build quality will hurt home values 10 years from now? Ooh, great question.
Possibly. I've seen some others. I'm drawing a blank on another name of a big track builder that just I call it slap them together. But I'm seeing it on builders here locally, and we have DR Horton and Lennar here, and I can absolutely tell the difference between my construction and theirs. It is night and day difference. I can tell the difference.
Charles McCune is saying, making things a lifestyle is how I stay with things. Okay. And I know Charles is studying for his realtor license currently, so very cool. Good luck
Okay,
with
yeah.
that. Oh, Cody, I'm not sure if you know, Cody Everidge is asking, is that book on Audible? Do you know if it's on Audible?
It might be, because it's on Amazon right now. If Mark wants to put that link, I'm not trying to do affiliate stuff, um, but
Cody,
it
just
it is
wait to me. I'll
excellent.
put it in our
I would
group.
bet it might be, but it was just published in the last few months, so it's a 2025 publishing. Now, this is y'all are gonna laugh at me. I am a book connoisseur. And I'm just weird nerded out on the quality of the printing of that hardbound book, where it had color illustrations. It was green color in it, other color illustrations. Like, man, this is an expensive printing of a book. I was very impressed because you don't see too many books printed that quality, and this was expensive. So that book, hardbound's around $42, which is pretty high dollars for hardbound books because most of them are on hardbound 20 to 25. But I'm telling you, this is a book that is worth reading multiple times. And I'm not even finished with the first with the I'm not even finished with it now. I'm about 180, 185 pages in, and I have almost every single page with highlights, underlines, and notes written on it, page after page of 180 pages in. This is one, there's so much there that is solid that I'm going to have to read it again. And y'all are going to see me start teaching. He just I wrote some of this. I literally had some of this in my writings. He just worded it better, and I'm going to be teaching a lot on that. And that's what I was talking about, the three wealth forces. I don't fully do all of his development. He talks about four. I don't think there's four. I think there's three. And I'm putting it all out there and I'm teaching it because it's what I was writing about too.
Trisha is saying I'm 56. Book sounds right up my alley. Josh Burdick says he's gonna check
Trisha,
it
you
out.
will love it. You'll thank me. You want this weekend and you'll be devouring it.
And like I mentioned, Brady Morgan is also coming out with a book, hopefully this year, I believe he said. And but he wants to know what is the main concept from the book, Brandon? Oh, I think he's talking about the book that you,
Yeah.
not your book that you're writing, the book that you're talking about.
It's talking about how to reach financial freedom outside of Wall Street and how the wealth forces of he does talk about inflation, taxes, and debt, but those things, the typical middle class, it's working against them, and that's why it's taking them decades to ever even get close to financial freedom versus what we're all doing in real estate. We get there using the power of those forces to get there faster. Luke made asked a comment that I want to bring up. He's talking about build quality and how do you vet builders. I had this question this weekend. Um, maybe in your area there are builder associations. These the builders I'm using. These are smaller builders that he's building 5 to 10 houses a year. The other way you could talk to people if you don't know them, a lot of mortgage lenders and bankers, if you work with a bank, they'll tell you some of the solid builders in the area that you might want to get in touch with. That's another place to explore, but there's builder associations too. But I think I would trust a mortgage guy, a trusted mortgage person, and a trusted banker and ask them who they would recommend. And ideally, they would give you 2 or 3 builders to talk to.
Um, Before we move on, I want to make sure Luke, please jump over to my channel and subscribe also, since apparently Josh subscribed to Brannon's channel just now. But everyone also go check out Brady's channel and subscribe there. I'm sure he's going to be
Brady,
coming out
you
with.
and I are going to connect. We'll connect here soon. I mean that.
And then Andy is saying he doesn't see it on Audible yet. That book. It was
So it
published.
might be too early. So maybe
Yeah,
not.
published in September of 2025. Let's see. Is there any more we can wrap it up with? I think that was it for today. I mean, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap things up? I guess.
I think that's most of it. I'm going to get back to the framing and see, do some more filming. I filmed a little bit this morning, and I'm going to film some more here in a minute. And unfortunately, I forgot my mic, so it's just going to be off my phone. But it is what it is. But walk through um, the framing, walk through the chalk lines because they're only doing one of them at the moment. So I was able to show. Have y'all ever heard of snapping lines on a foundation?
I have not.
Well, I filmed a portion of it and explaining what snapping lines are before they begin framing. They're snapping all the lines for all the walls. And so you're able to then you're measuring things and making sure they didn't either put that wall in a wrong spot and you're off by 2 or 3 inches or 4 inches, whatever it is, they snap lines on a foundation to make sure it all works based off the floor plan. So I filmed some of that, and then I'm filming them initially framing and some of the changes I made this morning. And now I'm going to go film talking more of that change because they've got that wall framed up of the changes I made, and I can explain why I made the change.
Quickly then, we'll wrap it up with Joe V is asking, Brannon, who are you cheering for, the Bears or the Packers? And everyone here, put your response in, because the Bears and
That's hilarious.
Packers play Saturday, first round of the playoffs. And
You
if you
know
have the, if
what?
you wanna be on my channel again, you better say the right team.
I probably won't even watch it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
How's that? There's a non-answer. I feel
oh,
like a
come
politician
on.
there.
Brady says, looking forward to chatting more, Brannon. Sending copies of his book should be published in the next week or two. Was just considering some last minute changes. All right, very cool. Yeah, we'll get you on the channel at some point, Brady.
Yeah, I think so. I think that might be
Even though
good.
he has.
I'll get with you, Brady, probably later this week. I'll send you a message and we'll connect and visit.
All right, man. Thanks for doing this one after the New Year. It's good fun catching up. Not much
Just
else.
remember that 557 plan of why, and I'm going to get it deeper in a video on my channel here soon.
Yeah, Jack did mention he can see people the teeny bop or the kids going 557 now. That's gonna be the new thing instead of 6 7.
Yeah, I bet so.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It was another fun and informative one.